Right, the other side from the Lancashire, which was on the other side of this record. This one is Shropshire, county of Shropshire. It's a 7-inch, 45 RPM Lyntone Flexi record. Put out in the 1960s. Copies of the 12-inch, 78 RPM shellac record released in the 1920's, and a real sort of snapshot of the accents and dialects of that era, which mass media and people travelling have probably diluted somewhat, so it might sound a little bit different from what you might hear these days. Edward Benbow Worthen, Standard Passage from the Golden Arrow by Mary Webb, and The Giant and the Cobbler. Produced to help actors get their head around the many accents of the United Kingdom when they're doing their acting, and to educators, etc., schools, etc. I'm copying this at the same time, so I'm just going to get this useless remote to switch on.
So you're saying as I'm right about that, mates? The little girl coming from the school yanter past the cowshed. Now there her is, going down the road through the red gate on the left-hand side of the way. Wouldn't you think? The silly wench has gone straight up to the door of the wrong house. Softy, what you're thinking on? Right where are very likely happen to find that grumpy, wizened, deaf-out fella. We all know him well enough, don't we? Got the name of Thomas in it. Well, he cannot abide the children. Under the rough edge of the old man's tongue soon learn her not to do it again. He's a rare un, I warrant. Look at her scuttling off, poor little soul. That'n's his tune, sartin. Did you ever see such a sight in the world? Here comes the schoolmaster, too. Hark at the noise. A Passage from the Golden Arrow by Mary Webb. And every year, when the gosses go to the diafall, they must find the arrow comes 2 by 2. Merry as wimbrels in a fine June. And every time St. Thomas comes round, there's a ta 3 more in 'em. For there's allus some finds there in the worst o' years. There's a good few old women as come first in the trial, like our old ancient brown trees they've been, groping and muttering, some saying, acorns for the pig, faggots for the fire, but we missed summat. And some saying, we lived hard, we supped sorrow, we died respected, but we'm lonely. Then they all settin' up a cry like a yew tree on a windy night. Out o' mind, out o' mind. Then the gosses stir like poplars, all grey and misty like in a ring round the chair, and there's no sound but sobbing. The Giant and the Cobbler, a Shropshire folk tale. Be certain you hanna heard the tale of the Giant and the Cobbler. Well, you'll sin there was once an old Welsh giant as was mortal vexed to the folk of Salop. So he gotten his wits to work to see if he couldna destroy him. At last he made up his mind to block up the Severn and drown 'em like rots. Afore long he set off with a great shovelful of earth on his shoulder and a cartload of mischief in his heart. By and by his shoulder begun to ache, so he set himself down to ease it a bit, when up comes a cobbler with a bag of old boots on his back. Morning, says the cobbler, pleasant like. Morning, says the giant. And where been you off to, asks the cobbler. To Salisbury, says the giant, right splainish. to dam up the Severn so's the folks'll be drownded, for I'm plagued to death of them. By gum, says the cobbler to himself, scratching his head, that'll never do, for if they'm all dead I lose my trade. So he looks at the giant very sorrowful like, and pats his head on one side and says, "Bless my soul." "What bin you thinking on?" says the giant. "Bless my soul," says the cobbler again. Then, "Look'ee," says he, chucking all the old boots and shoes on the road, "look'ee what I've gotten through since I set out from Salisbury." "Law," says the giant, "'tis a mortal long road innit it. I canna walk all that way." So he planks the shovelful of earth on the ground, and after scraping his boots on the spade, sets off for Wam as fast as his legs would carry him. And where he dumped the earth, there stands the reeking, and where he scraped his boots, there stands Iarkle to this day.